right now. I've been sitting there just, you know, eyeballing the hell out of this line, and
yes, sir.
I know, right? That's exactly what I kind of want to know.
We're gonna fix this problem.
Because, I mean,
So right now we're putting the camera.
Are you putting the camera on?
yeah.
Do we know what it was that caused it?
So the very first time it did it, there was a big circular piece of plastic. Probably, I don't know, the camera always blows up the image bigger than what it, you know what I mean, for projection purpose, but I want to say it was about 2.5 inch round perfect circular disc. And it was sitting in the bottom of the line, and periodically it would just flip up like a check valve, and then it would start collecting everything. So we pushed that out to the city main last time.
Is there a chance that got left in the last fix we did on this and just now caused the problem?
No, this is like this looked like a top off of a can or something. You know, not actually plastic, like PVC plastic.
So it didn't seem like something you'd be fixing to
No. And then see, and it's got low spots in it. And then some of the paper is just settling in there. 112. And then see,
do we measure from?
yeah, I'm measuring from sitting, I'm measuring, I centered the camera and zeroed it right when we were sitting horizontal just past here.
So that when you get to 120, to 130, that's where block disc is.
But see, like I said, you're not even being consistent on the blockages. Sometimes it's 70 foot, sometimes it's 120, 140, back to 120.
So the guess is that
Yeah, see how we're just kind of flat? So the water's always going to make it on through the system. What happens is the solids and the paper are getting left behind. Plus you're in the cast iron that's original to the building. You know, so whenever this building was originally constructed, is the pipe that you're working with, you know. And then see, so your belly starts at around 118, okay? And we're at 122 now. And you're just, you know, you have all that rust and everything that sloughs off of the pipe, and it just sets in there. So now your material's having to, meaning the waste and the paper's having to climb over the rust and everything, and you're sitting in a pile of water, which isn't helping matters any.
You guys got it?
Yeah. So,
but even if you line it, Paul, it will not fix the belly. You see what I'm saying? So you got to watch which way you decide to go, because even if you pipe burst it, it's always the liner and the bursting, it's going to follow the exact same path of flow. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I'm just trying to look, it's like, can we prevent getting hung up on something? But we got to come up with solutions.
And here's the other problem, Paul. You may not be able to get fall. You know what I mean? We had a heck of a time when we did this. And there's no way to jack up the building, you know what I mean, to raise up one end to be able to allow us to go, you know, with the proper flow. And that's what makes it hard. I know, Jay called me. I was out at Lake Rivera when, he gave me pictures, and I told Jay, I said, well, as soon as I get out of here, dude, I can come up here and clean it up for you. He goes, He goes, nah, man. He goes, I just wanted to let you know about it. I said, yeah, I'll handle it. And I said, he goes, I guess I'm just going to have to roll up my sleeves and get a little dirty. And I'm like, so it was you?
It was me.
Fair enough, my friend. Fair enough. Yes, sir? Material. It's gonna dam it up again. Screw this, I'm out of here. So here's the deal. You will back up again.
Okay.
It's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
So your flat spot or the start of that sag starts at 108,
Okay.
and then we start to come out of it at 132.
Okay.
So you got, almost 40 foot, okay? Residing in that belly is a ton of rust.
Okay.
So your cast iron is sloughing. So with that cast iron being in a sag like that, Jay, the water's always going to make it through. There's not enough water being pushed down the line to help try to carry it.
Okay.
Or if it does, what it does is it moves that material further downstream.
Yeah.
This kind of explains why we're getting different footages
Yeah.
on your backup. Sometimes it's 70,
Yeah.
sometimes it's 110. I was telling Derek, I've opened it at 140. Chris yesterday opened it at 120. When Jared
Was it 120?
Yes, when
Alright,
Jared
it's
was
okay.
out here for you on the weekend a
Yeah.
few weekends ago, he opened it up at around 130
Okay, I was gonna say
ish.
around that.
You know what I mean? And these are all
Yeah.
guesstimates,
Right.
guys. Do understand that
Yeah.
because there's no cable counters.
Right. Yeah.
So we're just going by,
Rough
rough distance. So
Yeah.
here's the deal, Derek. In answer to your question, you could line it, but here's your problem. Liner and pipe bursting is just going to follow the same path. So once you've already established a belly in the line, you're going to get another one even with the liner.
Yeah.
Here's the next problem. When you go to shoot a remote shot liner, whether they do it via from the manhole outside and shoot back up, or if they thought, I don't think they'd be able to shoot it from here because of the depth. Your new liner is going to have a sag, and you can't have any water
Yeah.
when you go to shoot a liner, Jay. It
Oh,
will
gotcha.
decimate it.
Yeah.
And if that thing starts to cure, and you have a employee in here on a weekend or something like that that goes and flushes, you just destroyed that liner.
Yeah.
And it is pain to get it out.
I gotcha.
Because you got to remember that resin has already started setting.
Set and get hard.
Correct.
Yeah.
Once it starts curing, it takes about 2.5 hours to start curing.
Yeah.
And then we have a cool down period where we lower the temperature. And then, boom, you're done.
Yeah.
But if,
Basically, what you're telling me is a liner is still just a temporary fix.
correct. Now, here's the other. You guys are in a catch-22.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, even when we dug all this up, we had a heck of a time even to get fall. And your elevation has already been set. I can't jack your building up or raise your plumbing up.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So even if you were to manually dig this, like what we had to do before, even if we were to do it, that one's going to suck even worse because we're probably going to be deeper.
Yeah.
And with that electric backhoe, I was already maxed on my depth when we did this hallway.
Yeah.
I was literally scratching pipe with my bucket underneath me.
Yeah.
So if you had a gas powered, would it have the reach?
Well, you could do a propane, but the problem is trying to find one that we can get through the doors.
Could you get it through a dock door?
Yeah, we might be able to get it through a dock door and then do like a propane, I'd have to check. But once again, guys, there's still, and I just need to, it's not like I'm trying to be rude about it. I just want to be 100% clear that even if you guys choose, I'm sorry, ma'am, pardon
No,
me.
you're fine.
Even if you choose to manually excavate, there is still no 100% guarantee that you're still going to be able to get the pitch on the pipe.
So.
Because like I said, we had a heck of a time up here.
Yeah.
Mind you, we're already now, 3/4 of the way down.
Yeah. But so we can drop the tape down, or even just mark this.
We were 6.
to pull out. So this is 6 feet down.
So you would be like almost 6 feet 6 inches, because that electric backhoe that I was using, its max depth was 6, and I was just barely scratching the pipe.
But so we can get a measurement here, and we can even drop a tape measure down the hole.
Correct.
And we go out to the manhole and see how deep that is.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we've got here's this height, here's this height,
Correct, and then
And
you
then
could
just do the
see
math.
how much
and say,
for your footage
yeah,
that you would be able to reestablish on fall.
okay,
But do understand though, J2, we've got that water main that comes in to the mailroom that's over there. So, and you're kind of leaving around that same area-ish.
Yeah, because
Yeah, you're going to be a little bit more further up this way.
Well,
and
the water service comes in this way, right? And
Correct.
It's gonna come up out of the floor and go like this. So we when we excavate,
We're gonna cross
that
it.
water line at some point. And
I would
we're gonna-
imagine we are, yes. And if I
it's
remember
probably
right,
up higher than what. by
I
the
believe
time this
it's-
gets over there,
I
it's
believe
probably
it's
under.
4 foot-ish.
Yeah. So we're already under it. We just know that we're gonna have to work around
Correct.
that. Okay.
So, but like I said, I mean, we can do that and take a measurement. I don't think you're going to get much, at all. We were lucky to break, I think, a 16th or an 8th on this run
Yeah.
by the time we got gravel and everything underneath the pipe when we did it.
Okay.
So, the more water, the way it's looking to me, the more water that's being ran is taking all the rust and material that's pocketing up in that sag, and it's pushing it further down. That's why we're getting inconsistencies
the
on
distance.
where you stop up.
Yeah.
Okay, so that toilet paper and everything is having to do like a little Worlds of Fun ride. It's having to what we call crawl over that material.
Yeah.
Now the other thing that you guys could try to do before you started getting crazy is I would jet from that manhole,
That's
which is what we discussed before,
yeah.
and
We start with we
that
clean
way,
the belly out, right?
that way I'm not shutting you guys down.
Yeah.
You don't have to do it on a weekend and pay stupid old OT prices for 2 guys.
Yeah.
We could do it all from outside at the manhole.
Yeah.
We would have to have a camera in here.
Yep.
So that way I would use a backwards only jetter head
Yep.
to where we're not doing any cutting or doing any disruption to the front. And then we just start slowly sweeping that material all the way back out to that manhole.
Yeah.
So you could, if it was me, I would probably try that route first, because if you guys choose to go to the latter part, okay, your liner, the way I understand it, is going to probably run you guys anywhere from 140 to 150 per foot.
Yeah.
Okay, and then going
Like
from
140?
150 from here.
150. Okay.
Okay.
Well, but you're saying 100 whatever a foot. That's what,
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include, you're going to have to jet and descale prior to lining.
Yeah.
So that's going to be another extra cost. You see where I'm going with
Yeah.
this?
And then it's something that doesn't take care of the belly or the low spot.
Yes, sir. Exactly. You're not going to be able to eliminate the belly with the liner or pipe bursting.
Yeah.
The only way that you can physically get rid of a belly is manual excavation.
Is that what we think we have as a belly?
Oh,
40
100%.
foot
And it's
belly.
about a 40-foot.
40 foot in length.
Yes, ma'am.
And
It
that just
starts.
happens every time?
It's been here for years.
Oh, okay.
We've known about it for a long time. It's just what's going on is your technical lifespan for cast iron is anywhere from 50 to 55 years. And I don't know, Jay would know more than me on this, but I don't know exactly when this building was constructed.
Yeah.
So that's long before I was even a thought in life.
Yeah.
So,
So it's deteriorated.
and it's starting to rust, and as the rust lets go, it's falling in that dip. And then the more water that's being ran, it's sweeping a lot of that material further and further and further down. And then all the paper and waste and everything is what's collecting up on it.
And so it can't get past that.
Yeah.
It's basically climbing over it, if
Yeah.
that makes sense,
Yeah.
instead of you having even a remotely partially smooth part.
So you could take the, so the,
Hey, Laura, I'm in a meeting. Can I
what
call
he's
you
talking
right
about
back?
with the jetting,
All right,
is
bye.
you go from that end, it's basically a power washer that shoots jets kind of back like this. So you can pull that back, and it's going to drag all that junk, as much as you can, drag all that junk out. And that's a temporary solution for now to help clear out what's there and give us hopefully a little bit better flow going through there.
Correct.
Buy us time to get
Okay.
the line replaced, essentially.
Okay. Hey, is Hope here today?
No, he's off today through Wednesday.
She was there Tuesday. I need keys to unlock the recycle bin upstairs for Pat.
I can get to that.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So as soon as you have a moment.
Yeah.
just wait for her.
For Paul, you know where that key is? The key to the confidential.
Yeah, it's in
Is
the
it-
room.
it's in the
it's in
key
the,
box
with
up
all the
there?
keys on.
Yeah.
It's
Can
a
we
big
get-
black one. Want me to go
right
get it?
now? Okay.
I can
Okay.
take call. If you know
Yeah,
where it's
take
at,
it.
I'll
Yep,
just take
yep,
call.
yep.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's
So,
one Hope key, the keys to that box.
if you were to go down that road, God, I hate to say this, and my back doesn't appreciate it either. Depending on what you guys choose to wind up doing long term, you would want to start where we ended.
Yeah.
As much as I hate to say it, and we know we've got electrical crossing this hallway. We already found it. I think there's like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
There's like a group of them
Yeah.
that was embedded in the concrete or just below that slab.
Mm-hmm.
You might have to revert back to your pictures, Jay, to get a 100%, but I'm almost 100%. There's at least 3
Yeah.
of our unknown objects that, you know, when they did the ground penetrating radar, and you would have to do it again to see what other surprises are entailed for us further down, because if they kept that conduit and stuff inside the floor when they go to saw cut, they're going to mow right through it.
Yeah. Gotcha.
You see what I mean? Unless they stop like we did on some sections where we stopped for in front of that line,
Yeah.
and then we picked back up
Yeah.
after the line.
Yeah.
I mean, it made it
Excavate around
it makes it a real pain in the butt, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Because I know they did hit one,
Mm-hmm.
because I remember the electricians, I think it affected a couple outlets in some of the
That's right.
offices up
Yeah.
here, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So we're going to have that.
Yeah.
So, and then I would assume that the ground penetrating radar is going to pick up the anomaly for the water main that's passing underneath that floor too.
Yeah.
But we would definitely need to see kind of where we're sitting here, and then you would want to see where you're sitting at that
Yeah.
manhole. But do understand, if I remember right, at the manhole you're at like a high-low.
Yeah.
So, meaning you come in high,
Yeah.
and then you hit a T on the drop. In the event that that section clogged before the manhole, it's like an emergency bypass.
Gotcha.
Or if the low side backed up
Yeah.
or clogged, it would revert.
That one at the top.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It would revert and fill up to that flow line and then disperse higher in the manhole.
So the
So your
It-
depth of the manhole isn't indeed what your depth is of the line here.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
We'd have more room to go deeper then if we need more fall,
You could.
right?
You could. I would believe that the city would deem that manhole private.
Well, here, let me, what I'm thinking.
I
So-
understand what you're saying
So
about
here's
lower
here's
end.
the manhole.
Yep.
Right, and then we've got one hole comes out here, one hole
Correct.
comes out here. This one's like right at the bottom.
Correct.
I mean, it's like right on the where this
And
is
that's the
going.
one when you're in inflow situation, that's the one that you're using.
Yeah. And so, but this is the line that comes all the way back
10-4,
here.
yes.
So the height difference there might be whatever 8 feet or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
Let's just
I
make up a
think it's
number.
like 2 or 3 maybe,
Okay.
something like that.
But so that height difference, that essentially gives us room to angle this pipe down more to get more fall.
If
we
it's
need
deemed a private manhole, and Wyandotte County will let you re-drill it.
it. Okay.
It's their rules, not mine. I can't just go physically drilling into the side of a manhole.
Gotcha.
If it's private, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah.
But if that manhole is deemed and owned by the city of Wyandotte, unified government, that's a different story.
Good.
Then I've got to play by their rules. You see what I mean?
Mhm.
So
Okay. I'll
that's
come up there.
that's essentially
I got one up there.
where we're at with it. So I know I'm booked solid. I'm starting the Sawyer Castle in Wyandotte County project Monday.
Good.
I'm going to be on it at least a solid week.
Good.
After that, I'm on another large project up north that I'm going to be engulfed in for another week.
Good.
After that, I'm engulfed in another large project that's going to be another week.
Good.
So if you guys want to do any kind of hydrojetting or anything like that, I can definitely have guys out here way sooner than that to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, we're going to do it.
Because like I was explaining to Jay, you're going to back up again.
Yeah, it'll be next week.
It could be within a few days.
Yeah.
It's hard to say.
Yeah.
So if that's what Jay and you choose to want to do first, which it sounds like it is what Jay's going to want to do, to try to do first to at least curb the situation, then I can talk with Sydney in the office and see how fast I can get you guys on the books for hydro.
Yeah. We're going to pay for it regardless. And snaking.
Correct.
So,
No, I understand. Yeah. Yep.
I think last time we talked about
And-
it, $1,500 or so maybe.
Yeah, it'd be like 14 somewhere around in there. And everything from here up to that marker, as far as rust and stuff is concerned, the line doesn't look that bad. Once I start at the 108 marker
Yeah.
is when it starts getting sketch.
Yeah.
So I don't know if some of that rust, Derek, was stuff that was further up here and it had been sloughing off of the pipe and it has slowly been migrating
Yeah.
based upon water usage. So the more water that's being ran down the system, the better chance you have of it being pushed further down.
Yeah.
And then all we're doing with the snake is we're essentially just knocking the dam over,
Yeah.
and then you're starting over again.
Mhm.
And then it's just a matter of, okay, well, is this going to last 3 weeks? Is it going to last 3 days?
Yeah.
Or whatever the case may be. So at least we know what it's doing, because I have camera footage of the last time I did it,
Mhm.
and it's not near as bad as what it was now.
Okay.
It's getting way worse.
As soon as you can do the snake,
For the jetting,
the jetting,
yes sir.
just do that. And will they verify with the camera that they got it all right?
So what I was explaining to Jay, there'll be a camera in here at the same
Oh,
time
gotcha.
jetting is
Okay.
being done.
Gotcha.
So that way we can determine where we need to concentrate on
Mhm.
and start from there and start sweeping that material
Okay.
back. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yes.
So it'll require a couple guys, and it could run you a little bit more. It just depends on the time.
Okay.
Um,
Get it done.
yes, sir. And then what I'll do is when I see Sydney, I'll get another copy of this video link sent to you,
Mhm.
so you guys have it. And then when we're done with the jetting process, we'll record it again, so that way you have something else to revert to.
Be a month out if you have some
No, it just won't be me.
Okay. Comfortable with the other guys that,
Yeah, I mean, I can probably get Jeremy on it
Mhm.
and another guy.